Hello and welcome back to the live series brought to you by Amicus Recruitment. This is the podcast that gives you insight into the life and role of tech leaders from all over the world. Today, I'm joined by Jannik Schmiedl, co-founder and CTO over at Staking Rewards. Thanks for coming on, Jannik. How are you doing?
Fantastic. Thanks for having me.
Perfect. Now, I know Staking Rewards is crypto. It's not something that I'm really sort of familiar with too much. So maybe you just want to go into a little bit about what Staking Rewards is and what it does and kind of what your role is there as well.
Sure. Yeah, let me start with what Staking Rewards is. At Staking Rewards, basically we believe that with cryptocurrency and especially cryptocurrency staking, you're able to create some form of passive income, as it's a little bit of a buzzword. Yeah, basically everyone in the world can have a little side earning, and we tell you basically how to do that. Our mission is to lower the entry barrier for everyone who's interested in learning how to stake and learning how to participate in the staking system. So we make cryptocurrency staking easy and accessible. And my role is, as you said, I'm the CTO, and basically my team builds all the products we offer. We build the website you can see at stakingrewards.com, and we build the API solutions and everything you see. So
yeah, I was having a little nosy at the website a little bit earlier on, and it is a really cool interactive website, and you can already tell that it's something for people that, you know, like you said, you're lowering the entry barrier. You kind of definitely get that vibe because, like I said, I definitely don't know that much about crypto, but it seemed accessible to even me, and it was, yeah, it was really cool. So obviously you guys are doing a really great job over there. So I'm quite interested to know how you actually started with that. So do you want to maybe just like kind of just give us some insight into where you started in your career and then bring us up to kind of how you got to where you are today?
Yeah, sure. Basically, I came to Hamburg, where I still live, and started to study here. I studied media and computer science, and after university, basically, I started as a software engineer at Check24, which is a huge German comparison platform where you can compare everything, like insurances and car rental and basically everything is really wide, the product range there. Then I was for 3 months at Jungheinrich. They produce like forklifts and everything, and they had like basically a tech offering for their fleet management and a little bit of IoT going on there. Before that, basically in beginning of 2018, my brother Mirko, who's my co-founder and now CEO of Staking Rewards, he asked me to make a product out of his research around staking, because he was really active in the 2017, 2018 crypto bubble, and he had a couple of coins, and he knew he can stake them, and he knew he can earn passive income on them. But he didn't know how and where to get information, what to do, basically. And he started with basic Excel and to gather all the information, and asked me to join this project and make a website out of it. And this is basically the birth of stakingrewards.com. And we have been pretty small for a very long time. We only have been like the two of us, and then like one engineer, which we could afford with our like very first angel investment back then. And then we raised around in end of 2020, where we then grew to, I think it's around like four to six. And end of last year, we raised around, which was a bit bigger, which allowed us to grow more. And now we are at around 19 full time. So since beginning of the year, we almost doubled the team, or more than doubled the team. So
that's impressive. That's really impressive. Yeah. That's wicked. I'm quite jealous about studying and living in Hamburg. It's somewhere that I've always wanted to go. It's quite interesting to work with your brother as well.
yeah.
I don't think I've had anyone on the show that's kind of had like a family sort of affair with their current project. So how is that? How does that dynamic sort of work with you? Is it pretty easy, or do you kind of, are you opposites that work well together, or how do you find that?
Yeah, it's a common question, to be honest. Like, many people ask us like how it is, and like for us it always has been like really positive. We are different in a way that like obviously I'm the techie guy, he's the entrepreneurial guy, like lots of ideas and stuff. But what is really powerful for our relationship is basically the trust and the honesty. So whatever happens, we can communicate and very openly, and I think this helps a lot as a founder team to be able to discuss like any issues without having to think about how do I communicate this, or like is this been coming in a weird way, or like that's what I really appreciate.
Yeah, I know what you mean, having no barriers there and not having to worry about kind of what the repercussions are professionally on every conversation and every interaction that you're having, not having to think about it. I imagine it gets things done quite a bit quicker as well in that sense. It's that kind of streamlines it a little bit, doesn't it? But so do you both work together on the hiring side of things as well then? Who kind of takes over with that, or do you talk me through that a little bit?
So yeah, basically I take over the tech hiring. He's more responsible for the business hires, but eventually we do decisions more or less together. But in terms of hiring process and approaching candidates and all this, it's like divided between tech and non-tech basically.
Yeah, so with when you're hiring for the tech team, is it quite important for you? Well, I'll rephrase that. How important is it for kind of a new hire to have crypto knowledge, or are you kind of more focused on their soft skills and their hard skills and not really their kind of context, or is that something that you really consider, or does it not matter too much?
So it highly depends on the role basically. For our research team, it's obviously a hard requirement to have deep crypto knowledge, but when it comes to like engineers, it's more important that the candidate is like really excited about crypto and has the urge to dig into it and to know it. And it's not that you have to be like an early investor in Bitcoin or do investments like all day long. It's like really more about the excitement for the ecosystem and to obviously on the other hand the technology part, because this is like non-deniable really interesting in crypto. So yeah, in the end we are a data company, right? We don't do any Web3, we don't do smart contract, at least for now. We are a data aggregator, and that's why it's more important to have like really good experience in data structures, data processing, high quality software. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, sure. That is interesting, to be fair, because I know that it varies very much. I've asked that question a few times to various guests, and they all answer completely differently each time, and it all kind of boils down to the enthusiasm from the person of how much they want to learn about the context of the company, and yeah, I think that's important, isn't it? So in that case then, like, how did you say it was a remote team that you're running?
Yeah, we are fully remote from
So how do you like approach structuring that remote team? Is it because obviously you're still kind of growing and you've grown obviously substantially over the most recent periods. So how have you kind of gone about structuring that team, knowing that it's going to be remote? And do you sort of, I suppose you would have to, but how do you consider kind of bringing people together when they are remote? And does that affect the kind of hierarchy of the company as well, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I mean, being remote and being remote like first class, basically, we don't have an office at all. Is it seems easy when you're small, but once we grow, we see that it requires tremendous more work to have like a proper communication structure, proper the proper culture and everything. But we believe that if you put the work, it actually gets way better than on site. And yeah, we experiment a lot with different structures. Like how can we mimic the good parts of office work, having people around you, being not blocked, but also emphasizing asynchronous work, like having good documentation and having the freedom. And this is what Mirko and I put really important or believe in from the beginning on, is like the flexibility and the freedom for everyone to basically work whenever you want, wherever you want. Mirko's traveling through Portugal, for example. He doesn't have a permanent flat or house or something, and this is what we want to encourage, that everyone is responsible for their own well-being, their own health, their own work and their own output. And when you're healthy and when you're energized, you can work better. And this is something where a remote setup really helps, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think I definitely agree personally. I think the work-life balance is absolutely there when you've got flexible working as well as remote working. You know, there's no kind of rigid, because remote, a lot of people tend to like remote work with like kind of a rigid time structure to each day as well, but that can have almost a negative effect, I think, because if you get kind of a block or you need something, like if you're working, say, for example, like a 9 to 5 or an 8 till 5, then you're in the office, you can distract yourself and kind of bring yourself away. But when you're working that time and you're at home, and it can get a little bit, you know, yeah. So there's definitely obstacles there, isn't there? So it sounds like he's doing a really good job with that, kind of how you're approaching that, and it sounds very free. And I think when it's coming from the CEO as well, and that's, you know, he's traveling through Portugal while he's working, then that's going to be setting a really good example to everybody else of the right way to do it, isn't it? So tell me about how often you guys get together. Like, how important are soft skills when everybody's remote? Is that something that comes up? Is it, how do you kind of tackle that side of things?
So yeah, I mean, soft skills are always more important, no matter if you're remote or not remote. But I guess it gets more challenging when you're remote, because you not always see your faces. You do more about Slack, more like texting, and then like the meta text is like somehow hidden, and therefore it's more maybe it's harder, or it needs more consciousness to communicate.
Yeah, I think like I've used Slack in previous roles, and it can be a little bit you don't get the same interaction at all, do you, really? And it's not, especially when everybody's remote and you're not getting to go in the office whatsoever. Do you ever get together at all as a group, or do you ever kind of meet up, or is it just completely remote and you just kind of use like video calls and things to do that, or do you get together physically?
Yeah, it's I think despite being fully remote, it's important to come together once in a while, and that's why we have company retreats, quote unquote, where we where we come together every 6 months as a whole company at some exciting location. Last 2 times it has been in Portugal.
Nice.
Yeah, like when was in end of April, we came together there, and that was a blast. It was so much fun. We had seven days of work, but also fun. We did team building and like put together our OKRs and hardened our aims and aligned way better, and that's really cool. Like even for me, it was like the first time to see some of the team in person for the first time, and yeah, that was cool. But I think for this 7 days, then people get excited before it plays after for a while, then and then we have the next one in 6 months. So I think this is quite a cool frequency to have those events. Besides that, we experiment with we had this like Power Week once, where we actually didn't come together, but we had standing calls and worked on fixed projects for 1 week, really intense. Maybe we'll do this for some of the team on site. But yeah, little experiments.
Okay, yeah, you're always trying new things then, by the sounds of it. I like the idea of a 7-day retreat, because I think that is a long time, isn't it, for a kind of a work related thing, I guess. But I think that you, like you said, like you get that perfect kind of space afterwards, and then just before it kind of starts to teeter off, or relationships are like the kind of, you know, distance almost seem like again from each other, then you got them meet up again, and it's a big amount of time together again. And I think that's a brilliant approach. Yeah, I've not really heard of a full week away before. I'm sure it happens plenty of places, but yeah, I think that might get a little bit silly if the Amicus Recruitment bunch had a week away together. I'm not sure there'd be much team building going on anymore.
I mean, that's also part of it. But yeah, it's no question, it's intense. But I think it's worth it. It's really worth it to get used to each other, have a little bit of fun, and also get like everything you want to work on basically done. It's like even the 7 days, like people had so many ideas to work on things, and not everything got done, but
yeah, and I think 6 months is the kind of perfect time as well, isn't it? I suppose you've got 6 months worth of interactions daily to kind of make up for, haven't you, really, in person? So I just kind of want to circle back to how you kind of onboard people and hire people, because obviously I can imagine you explain this to them as like, right, we've got a week away together every 6 months kind of thing, and I'm quite interested to know kind of how people respond to that, and what is your hiring process, and have you kind of tweaked it a lot kind of compared to maybe conventional hiring processes because you're remote, or do you have kind of a set way of doing things and it works for you? Just kind of walk me through that.
So yeah, obviously we are a startup, and we experiment a lot, so we do with a hiring process, but for now I would say it's more like a standard process. We try to tweak it. We start with a job description, what we actually want, and then we screen, check for their goals. Culture fit is really important, especially in remote environment. Check for strength and weakness, and then for most candidates we give a take-home challenge, yeah, then 2 more follow-up interviews where we discuss the challenge, discuss their professional career, basically standard practice. And then, yeah, reference checks. So I don't know if if there can be a difference between a remote hiring process and a non-remote. I've never hired for a non-remote, so I have no idea.
Yeah, no, that makes loads of sense. And I think that sounds pretty typical, to be fair, what you guys are doing over there. Obviously, we see a ton of different variations of hiring processes every day here. So yeah, it sounds like you're doing it pretty well. And I am quite curious to know, like, have you experienced any, I know you guys are a startup, but obviously you have grown, so I assume you have taken on quite a few people in your time there. So what are the pitfalls that you've found for kind of remote onboarding, if any, and how have you kind of approached them and tackled them?
I mean, it's super important to include new hires from day one, so they're not been hired, they're starting and they get Slack access, and then it's like, oh, and now no, it's like I think good guidance is really important, and to have like daily syncs, for example. Have a really good documentation where they can new hires can grasp like basically everything what is going on, go through, like, for example, we are using Notion, go through the whole Notion and see like what is in there, what is documented, what tech are we using, who to approach, what are our values, what are our projects, and so on. And then yeah, clearly define like what are your expectations for the first days, and guide new hires through them. And then I think they are set up for success with and can be productive early on.
Yeah, no complaints then anyway, yeah, so far. That's good. Okay, well, I feel like we probably could have like continued this for quite a while. I feel like there's plenty that we could talk about, so maybe we can get you back on and we can dive into some crypto stuff once I've done a bit more homework for the next episode. If you wanted to do that, that'd be absolutely great. We'd love to have you back. I've just got one more question to kind of ask you. I always kind of finish on this one with guests, and obviously a lot of our audience are kind of engineers looking to climb the ladder. A lot of them are already leaders that kind of just want to know a little bit about, you know, what everybody else is doing. So what sort of advice do you have for tech professionals who are looking to be in a similar position to where you are today?
So good question. So I'd say for first-time entrepreneurs, or first-time startup, or first-time CTOs, I'd say just do it. Try out different things, be flexible, and then early on find people who are better than you. Because they can give you like the best feedback, and you can reach out to and should reach out to people to give you feedback on how you're doing. Because I think what is quite challenging is the role switch from being an engineer or a programmer to being a manager. Especially a tech manager. So yeah, I read a lot of books, and but again, just try out, be flexible, be clear what you want, and then ask for help, and then you can only improve.
Yeah, I love that. Be clear, be flexible, just do it, read books. And yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah, that's absolutely great advice. Well, listen, I wish you all the best with Staking Rewards, and it's a really interesting thing that you're doing over there. So I would love to get you back on in a few months and see where you're at then, and I'm sure you'll have grown even more then, and you'll probably have another retreat to tell me all about as well. So so yeah, best of luck to you and the team. And yeah, so if you're watching this excuse me, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can hover over the logo in the corner and hit subscribe. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok for all the updates. Head over to our website, amicusjobs.com, for tech news, webinars, blogs, and keep up to date for the latest Python, Golang, and JavaScript roles all over the globe. Jannik, thank you again. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on.
Thank you so much.